All right, this video is for 5th graders. We are going to go over your grammar worksheets 1 and 2 that were sent home for your Tuesday packet. So we're going to look at worksheet 1 first. Worksheet 1 says it's a review of action verbs, and the first question says, what's a verb? Okay, we know what a verb is, right? What's a verb? A verb shows action or being. So in that blank, you're going to write a word that shows action or being. Okay? Part B says underline all the words that could be used as action verbs. You're going to go through that list, and if it shows an action, if it's something that we can do, you're going to underline it. Number 1 says sees. So like, I can see this marker. Does that show action? Yes. So you're going to underline it. Number 2 says gold. Does gold show action? No. Gold is a metal or a color, whatever you want to call it. It does not show action. So you're going to go through all 24 of those words, underlining only the action verbs. Okay? Part C, it says underline the action verb in each sentence. So they've given you short 2-word sentences, and each of those sentences contains a subject and a predicate or a verb. Okay? He thought. My subject tells me who or what. He is my subject. What's my verb? Thought. So you're going to underline thought. You're going to do that for all 8 of those sentences. You're only underlining the verb, the word that shows action. Okay. Part D. So this worksheet should be pretty easy for you to get through. Sorry. Part D says to underline all the action verbs. Sentences 9 through 12 have 2 each. So you've got longer sentences. Number 1 says, God blesses his people. What's my subject? Tells me who the sentence is about. God. What does God do? Blesses. So you're going to underline blesses because it is the verb, the word that shows action. Okay? You're going to do that for all 12 of those sentences. So it's the same thing as part C, you just have longer sentences. Okay, flip your page over, and we're going to look at worksheet 2. Now, worksheet 2 is a review of our helping verbs. So remember last year, I taught you a song, and I'm not going to sing it right now, of all your helping verbs. Okay, on this worksheet, they have divided your helping verbs into different categories. So you have your be verbs, and then you have your have verbs, do, may, and then your other pairs. Okay, I wrote those on a whiteboard. I'm fixing to get it out. You're gonna just look at the whiteboard. You can pause the video if you need to help you fill out the top part. Okay. All right, when you look at part A, it says write the forms of the verb be. So up at the very top, I can see it, you have your 8 forms of the verb be. Am, is, are, was, were, be, being, been, be. They have it out of order. Okay. So you're going to write those in the blank for part A. You can pause it for a moment, please. Okay, so you should have written down all the forms of the verb be. Now we're going to look at part B on worksheet 2. Number 1 says a verb phrase is made up of a main verb and 1 or more helping verbs. Okay, so if you need to pause this, you can. A verb phrase has 2 parts, a main verb and then 1 or more helping verbs. Number 2 says the main verb is always the last word in a verb phrase. So when we have a verb phrase, our main verb always comes last. All right, number 3 says write the forms of have. So there are 3 forms of have. Have, has, had. Number 4 says write the forms of do. You have do, does, and did. Now, if you memorized the song last year, you can just kind of sing through this because you should know all the helping verbs. But for this worksheet, they have just kind of divided it into categories. Write the forms of may. May, might, must. And then you have 3 other pairs of helping verbs. Should be at the bottom of this screen. You have can and could, shall, should, will, and would. All right, so remember, pause the video if you need to. If you need help filling in those blanks. All right, now we have part C. Part C says underline all the forms of be and have. All you're gonna do is, if you don't know the forms of be and have, is go back up to the top of your worksheet. You've got your forms of be written there. You've got your forms of have written there. And you're just gonna go through your sentences and underline them. Number 1 says, the Lord be with you. What's my form of be? Be. So you're gonna underline be. Number 6 says, we were at church. Okay, were is a be verb, so you're gonna underline were. So you're gonna go through all 10 of those, underlining your be verbs and your have verbs. Part D says write a suitable helping verb in each blank. So you have all your helping verbs listed up at the top. You are just going to choose the best one to fit in the blank. Part E says underline the verb phrases. So remember, we know that a verb phrase consists of 2 things. You have your helping verb and your main verb. So you're gonna underline verb phrases. Number 1 says, one day the wind was blowing fiercely outside. What's my verb phrase? So wind is my subject. What was the wind doing? Was blowing. So you're gonna underline was blowing. And that is it. You should be done with both of your worksheets after that.